Love him or hate him, everyone is at least a bit familiar with Sherlock Holmes.
How fresh?
Just in. 67 natural causes.
Be it from the original works of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Robert Downey Jr.'s interpretation of him, or the extremely popular Benedict Cumberbatch version.
The name's Sherlock Holmes and the address is 221B Baker Street.
All in all, Sherlock has been in 226 films and is globally the most popular human character there is. But why is this? It's the combination of intelligence, fascinating skills of deduction, observation, wit, and the manner in which Holmes works that draws us in. His wholesome friendship with Dr. John Watson appeals to our emotional side, while his clinical way of thinking intrigues and engages us.
What? Board!
No.
Board! Board!
The audience is able to join him up close and personal at a murder scene, fascinated rather than disgusted.
Psychopath.
Not a psychopath, Anderson. I'm a high-functioning sociopath. Do your research.
Sherlock Holmes is an interesting character on his own, but the series and film adaptations as a whole are far more interesting. No shit, Sherlock. There are so many filmmaking elements that have a deeper meaning, and when it comes to narrative, semiotics, ideology, representation, and genre, the filmmakers make exemplary use of such techniques. In this video, we will be considering and discussing BBC's Sherlock series, and the main question we will be answering is, what makes Sherlock an impactful media product? We will consider how the producers of the show represent Sherlock's character, what lessons or ideologies can we take away from it, and how does it compare to the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes film adaptation. We will be focusing on the use of semiotic devices as well as representation and ideology in Sherlock. The main argument we will discuss is as follows. Sherlock develops with the help of human connections against his sociopathic self, learns how to be vulnerable, and shows the importance of empathy in problem solving. Representation and ideology. Within filmmaking, representation refers to how different topics like gender, age, ethnicity, mental health, or social issues are presented to the audience.
Every fairy tale needs a good old-fashioned villain.
Media products have the power to shape an audience's knowledge and understanding about such topics, and as a result is an effective communication tool.
Please!
You've seen the act before. How dull for you. You know how it ends.
I'm not Sherlock Holmes!
Representation can contribute to an ideology, which can be defined as a system of values, attitudes, and beliefs that are held to be true or important by an individual, group, or society. So, how do the producers of Sherlock represent his character, and what ideologies do they communicate? Well, Sherlock is presented as having a mental illness, which plays a significant role in the series.
There's a head. A severed head.
Just tea for me, thanks.
No, there's a head in the fridge.
Yes?
A bloody head.
Where else was I supposed to put it?
Those who are familiar with him know that he is not just an average character. He's different from typical human beings in the way he thinks and acts, with his unique thought processes and abnormal mental capacity, making him a great detective.
Once you've ruled out the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be true.
What does that mean?
He is shown to think much like a machine or computer, and argues that sentiment is a defect commonly found on the losing side.
Listen, this is my hard drive, and it only makes sense to put things in there that are useful. Really useful.
This promotes the ideology that emotional thinking interferes with deduction and problem solving.
Afraid.
Sherlock.
Always be able to keep myself distant.
Divorce myself from feelings.
But look, you see, body's betraying me.
Holmes even states himself he is a high-functioning sociopath, meaning he thinks he has an antisocial personality disorder with a minimal understanding of social norms.
Board!
They're right about you. You're a bloody psychopath.
High-functioning sociopath. With your number.
He is portrayed as being an outcast, smarter than most average people, and is in constant need of stimulation to avoid boredom, be it through the excitement of his cases or through the escape of drug use.
John, I need some. Get me some.
No.
Get me some.
No. Cold turkey, we agreed, no matter what.
This representation of his character initially presents an antisocial, mechanical image of Sherlock. However, as the show goes on, his character undergoes a transformation, becoming more emotional and human. Through the help of his dear friend John Watson, Sherlock gains the ability to empathize and love, and recognizes how important it is for problem solving. He learns that human vulnerability is not something bad as he once thought. The main journey we see throughout the show is Sherlock's development to appreciate that human emotions are not an inhibiting factor to his work. One could argue that Sherlock and Watson build a yin-yang relationship, with both providing elements for the perfect combination of crime-solving attributes, while also being able to help each other learn key lessons.
We should call the police.
Yes. On their way.
For God's...
This representation of his character promotes the ideology that friendship, love, and emotional thinking can help to overcome adversity, and that they are something to be embraced, even by the anomaly Sherlock Holmes. Semiotics. Semiotics, quite simply, is the study of signs. It highlights the connection between truth and its representation in media products. We use semiotics as a tool to understand the meaning of a text through its use of signs. But what is a sign? They can be anything that generates meaning to its viewer, a word, image, sound, etc.
Sir, security's down, sir. It's failing.
Identifying signs and understanding what they mean, as well as why a producer has chosen to include them in a media text, is key in finding the message or ideology they wish to communicate. Producers include signs so that audiences can make associations between ideas and can better understand information. For example, modern scientific signs and iconography are used in Sherlock to intentionally provide connotations that conform to the crime mystery genre. This contributes to how Sherlock and the other characters on screen are represented.
No rush.
The use of white annotations whenever we see Sherlock at a crime scene is done to communicate Sherlock's thought processes to the audience. The semiotics used in Sherlock are modern, technology-based visuals relevant to today's viewer. The producers implement various interfaces the audience would be familiar with, such as the use of telephones, digital maps, text messages, databases, etc. This all contributes to the ideology that Sherlock thinks mechanically, as the same semiotic devices used to signify technology are used to represent how Sherlock thinks.
Get out.
What?
Get out. I need to go to my mind palace.
The what?
However, as mentioned, Sherlock's way of thinking evolves over the course of the show, and this is reflected in the semiotics. When he meets Irene Adler for the first time, she presents herself naked, as she knows he won't be able to deduce anything when he is shocked.
Oh, it's always hard to remember an alias when you've had a fright, isn't it?
A machine, however, wouldn't experience shock from nudity, hence demonstrating that Sherlock is in fact human and prone to emotions like shock and desire. Later, when Sherlock discovers Mary Watson's true identity, we see him thinking emotionally, unable to deduce anything other than the word liar, which clouds the screen. This unique use of semiotics is highly effective in communicating Sherlock's evolving state of mind, something we don't see in the film adaptation. Comparison with the Sherlock Holmes movie.
Holmes!
One alternative popular rendition of the Sherlock Holmes franchise is the Guy Ritchie 2009 film adaptation Sherlock Holmes.
I like the hat. Oh, I just picked it up. Do you remember your revolver? Oh, knew I forgot something. Thought I'd left the stove on. You did.
Featuring Robert Downey Jr., the film follows the codes and conventions of a mystery action, making use of more combat and chase scenes and playing into Downey's strengths. Though the film is set in the same urban location, London, it pays tribute to Conan Doyle's original works by being set in the 1800s. As a result, the representation of Sherlock and his co-cast differs, as does the use of semiotics due to differences in historical context and societal views. In the movie, Sherlock's mental illness seems to be more accepted by his social environment and peers. His condition is represented in a more entertaining and less serious manner.
Suicide is not in his repertoire. He's far too fond of himself for that.
The focus is placed more on his pursuit of solving the crime and less on his personal struggles. This is unlike the series where we witness the dark side and development of Sherlock's genius and emotional side.
There is nothing wrong with me, do you understand?
This difference in representation results in the film adaptation promoting more traditional ideologies, such as the idea that the genius fills the hero role saving the day, which may be more entertaining, but is arguably less impactful to the audience.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get after Blackwood.
Additionally, the lack of consequence from Sherlock's drug use suggests to viewers that it is something acceptable, which is not the case in the BBC series.
Is he clean?
Clean.
Furthermore, Guy Ritchie chooses not to pay so much attention to portraying Sherlock's thought processes, but more on his action sequences. As a result, the semiotics we see in the film differ greatly. In fact, the audience is only given an insight into Sherlock's mind when he verbally describes his decision-making during fight scenes.
First, distract target. Then block his blind jab. Counter with cross to left cheek. Discombobulate. Dazed, will attempt wild haymaker. Employ elbow block. And body shot. Block ferrule left. Weaken right jaw. Now fracture.
This makes clear where the film's intentions lie, as the producers tried to steer away from the conventions of a psychological crime thriller and more towards an action mystery. The BBC pay more attention to portraying what goes on in Sherlock's mind, while the film adaptation focuses less on this and more on the action within scenes. Additionally, the BBC series makes a strong effort to use signs that possess a scientific connotation, while in the movie, more religious or ceremonial semiotics are used. Both media texts make this choice to better suit their social historical setting, with religion more widely accepted and followed in the 1800s, and science and technology more present in the 2000s. Conclusion. So, why is any of this relevant? And what makes Sherlock an impactful media product? Well, the BBC series Sherlock makes use of exemplary narrative structure, clever semiotic devices, and compelling cinematographic techniques to portray Sherlock's historically iconic character. His development from an arrogant, intellectually superior cyborg with no real friends to an actual human being with empathy and feelings is touching, and teaches the audience important lessons on the value of friendship and emotional vulnerability.
What? What is it?
Though discussing themes of crime and murder, the show promotes the positive ideology that love and friendship conquers all, even hyper-intelligent machine-like villains such as Moriarty and Euros.
I haven't finished yet.
Yeah, I know.
So on to some funny stories. Can you wait till I sit down?